She has been doing a great job ever since this event started today. Can we put our hands together for Madam M.E. for the great job that she's been doing? The registrar, ma'am, please permit me to stand on the already established protocols as I heartily congratulate you, ma'am, for the successful takeoff of the Covenant University annual registry training. Without any doubt, communication has been effective. You conceived something in your heart and you were able to hand it over to the LOC. And they also have been able to bring it to bear. I want to deeply congratulate you, Ma, and also congratulate the LOC, ably led by Mr. Joshua Ogaga Ogene, for putting this together. Can we please put our hands together for that? I'd like this afternoon to recognize the keynote speaker. I call him Registrar Extraordinaire for, coming to us here today to speak to us from his very deep expertise in university administration. He has poured out to us from his brand of experience and depth. And we are so grateful because we have learned so much from him today. I also want to appreciate the chairman of ANO, Mr. Ife Oluwole. Thank you so much, sir. Can we put our hands together for him? All the esteemed registrars from other universities, the resource persons, panel discussants, and of course, all of us seated here this afternoon. Can we put our hands together for ourselves? I'm sure you agree with me that there's been a lot to draw from the wells of administrative knowledge from this event. This afternoon, before I go to my topic, there's someone in the house that I would like to recognize. If you see a professor in our midst this afternoon, he is here because of me. And that is what I call inspiring leadership. The Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Akam Basi Williams. Let's put our hands together. Since I returned back to Covenant University about 2 years ago, and I started working with him, it has been a smooth sail. Talk about a leader that is confident in himself, a leader that gives you wings to express yourself and wings to fly, an unbiased leader. I'm sure the persons in the School of Postgraduate Studies will attest to all of these things that I've said about him. Sir, I deeply appreciate you for taking time to come and cheerlead me this afternoon. And I want to assure you that I will not disappoint you. Thank you very much. Ms. Dadeshia is already looking at the time. So let me quickly go to why I'm here. Studio, please. The cover page. Thank you. My name is Adefunke Folaoyinluyi, and I've been given the responsibility this afternoon to speak to the topic effective communication skills in a 21st century university workplace. The training outline. Next slide. We have before us the training outline. I wouldn't read through for time. I will manage time as much as possible because the LOC chair has whispered in my ears and said, Ma. And next, what is the objective of this training? Next slide, please. What is the objective of this training? You see, LOC had me at 3 o'clock, to present at 3 o'clock. And I said to myself, how will I ensure that people are not sleeping during this presentation? So I had to bring in a lot of humor into this. And so what's the objective of this presentation this afternoon? It is to reacquaint, and I'm very careful and intentional about my choice of word, to reacquaint participating university administrators with requisite communication skills that can help them to attain higher effectiveness and productivity at work. Please give me 1 second as I work on my own. Thank you. So, what's the word reacquaint points to is the fact that the things I'll be sharing with us this afternoon are things that we know already. I'm not bringing anything from the moon or Mars or anywhere. I'm just reacquainting us with those things. And I think Mr. Ayogunruku said something like that also when he came up here. And so we are being reacquainted with the skills, the know-hows, the abilities that we need if we are going to communicate effectively, if we are going to transmit information from one end to the other in the 21st century university workspace. Now, we do not want a situation whereby we are talking or sending information to people and they are giving us this kind of response. Cluelessness. But when communication is not effective, what we get is cluelessness. Who knows this woman? What's her name? Thank you so much. She doesn't ever get network. She does not. You are saying, I'm going to Ilorin. She's saying, when do you want to eat dinner? And we all know that if we are going to get our job done very well, then we need to be able to transmit the information that we need to get the job done effectively. But, aside transmitting it effectively, we need some capabilities. We need some capacities, some abilities to engage to get it done. The training outcome for today, number one, participants will better understand the concept of communication and what makes it effective. The truth of the matter is I believe that Dr. Lily must have gone through all of this, most of these, the intro part of communication. And so I may not be talking about that. What makes it effective? What makes communication to generate the desired result? Number two, participants' understanding of skills that engender effective communication will be refreshed. And number three, participants will come to an appreciation of the need to acquire communication skills if they must be more effective, more productive, and relevant in the workplace. For time, I will not take the catchphrases and the keywords one by one, but I'm going to give you a topic summary this afternoon that captures everything. And so the topic that is before me is effective communication skills in a 21st century university, for a 21st century university administrator. And the topic summary is the engagement of the knowledge, abilities, capacities drawn over a period of time in transmitting information from one point to another in a 21st century, a current higher education institution in order to achieve the desired result. Before I go on this afternoon, you will quickly permit me to tell you a story. And it's a story on communication. I was once privy to a communication that ensued between two officers who were leaders at their levels, though with one of them being a step or two higher than the other in hierarchy. Can you please? Okay, thank you. The senior officer, talking loudly and emotionally, was accusing the junior officer of having the attention of everyone on their team and how everyone responded promptly to any information or directive from the junior, while it is not the case with the senior who was complaining. On this particular occasion, they had both issued directives to their downlines who were on two different but related assignments. And while those working with the junior officer had gone ahead to accomplish their task, and that right on time, those working with the senior officer's directives were still struggling with getting the task done. And this led to the senior officer's infuriated, frustrated outburst. The junior officer, though totally shocked by the senior officer's unexpected outburst, managed to smile and muttered, "Relationship. I have formed a good working relationship with them over the years. More so, everyone knows what to do." The senior officer, however, thought that there was more to it than the junior officer had mentioned, and so remained very angry, very loud, and embarrassingly uncontrollable. Shortly after the incident, we all left for a meeting. At the meeting, I had the senior officer yelling orders on the phone to another downline commanding the officer to report at the meeting immediately. My heart sank. I shook my head and said within myself, this person will never get any work done acting this way. I made further investigations and, did some observations, and I noticed the following. Number one, the junior officer is a process person who works with well laid out strategies and structures, who does what, when it is to be done, and how it is to be done, and communicates it clearly to teammates, ensuring that each person understood their roles while the senior officer does not do this. The junior officer follows up without micromanaging and takes regular feedback from those assigned to carry out any given assignment per time so that gaps can be immediately addressed. Again, the senior officer does not do this. And most importantly, the junior officer, though a strict process and detailed person who strives for excellence and quality service delivery all the time, has a very good working relationship with the downlines. Again, the senior officer does not. And so, it is not a surprise that one gets work done and the other one does not get work done. The difference between the two of them is their skill, their ability to communicate their ideas, their ability to push information and how it is done to the persons who are expected to carry out the assignment. I'm sure that the scenario that I've printed before you this afternoon is commonplace. We have experienced it, we have seen it, and if this happens, I'm sure that you also know that this is the kind of result that we get. That is just an intro story into what communication is about and how communication should be done. Now, what is communication? Communication is the art of transmitting or commuting or transporting, conveying information or ideas from one point to another and receiving desired feedback, not just any feedback, a desired feedback. For instance, due apologies, the registrar. When she conceived the idea for a Covenant University annual registry training, she had something on her mind. And I'm sure the way the registrar is smiling, what she had in her mind is what she's seeing this afternoon. And so we must not forget that part of gaining the desired result. Communication takes place between two persons amongst a group of people, namely the transmitter or the sender. That's the source of the information, the source of the idea, and then the receiver, the one to whom the information is being transmitted or conveyed. And both of them have one responsibility. They have the responsibility of ensuring that the information that is being passed on, the idea that is being transmitted, is well understood. The sender must ensure that the information is well understood. The receiver must also ensure the same thing. As a matter of fact, as a receiver, if you do not understand what is being said, it is your responsibility to ask for clearance. What exactly is being said so that the desired feedback can be given. The primary objective of communication in the workplace is to get a job done, to get a task accomplished, to get a project executed. And if this does not happen, then the communication process cannot be said to have taken place. And so, if the communication process has not taken place, it also means that communication is not effective and has not achieved its purpose. Now, the next slide, please. This is the communication cycle, moving from point A to point B. And in between, we have some parameters or demographics that I'm sure that Dr. Lily must have spoken about. If the passing of information from one point to another is not skillfully managed, if we allow interferences to take over our communication, then we will not generate the expected results. Now, we cannot run away from interferences. Interferences will come in the form of bias. Someone is saying, she's a woman, even though she is the upline, but she's a woman. She cannot talk to me like that. It is an interference, it's a bias. Another person is saying, we do not belong to the same political party because they have, discussed at some point. And because of that, we do not agree. Another person will say, we do not belong to the same religion. Or maybe we do not engage the right medium or channel of communication. All of these will come, to play. But it is our responsibility as administrators to be able to effectively manage the interferences. And that is where the skillfulness that we're looking at this afternoon is coming from. I'm sure that we have also been spoken to about the types of communication. Let's move to types of communication, please. Thank you. We have the verbal communication, which could be oral or spoken, and we have, which could be oral or spoken, e.g. one-on-one communication, telephone, radio, television, video, and so on and so forth. And when communication is done this way, we know that both the sender and the receiver, they have the opportunity of interacting with one another. And so they're able to connect directly. And immediately, if there are things to clarify, they're able to clarify it. And so it gives room for instant clarification. It saves time and it helps to build confidence. It is, however, not possible because we're in a formal workplace to engage the verbal communication all the time. There are times that we need to document what we're talking about. I don't know whether you have ever had this kind of experience before. When someone will give you an order or a directive, and when it boomerangs, the person will say, where is the paper? If you have had that experience, administrators, I'm sure you have had that experience. Where is the paper that gave you that directive? And so that is why, good as the verbal communication may seem, we cannot engage it all the time. Some channels or mediums of verbal communication include physical one-on-one conversations, physical or virtual meetings, telephone conversations, radio, television, video, and so on and so forth. Next, we have the non-verbal kind of communication, and this is how we convey information without talking, without words, without using spoken words. And this includes communication by writing, by visuals, body language, through the electronic, the electronic media. They provide longer lasting presence and can easily be referred to over and again, especially in the case of written communication and visuals. Visuals, when we talk about banners such as this, banners and billboards, we see all of those things all over our campus. And some of the channels and medium for non-verbal communication include for written memos, reports, minutes, for visuals, billboards, banners, framed pictures. For electronic, our university website, our learning management system, LMS for online classes, our meeting apps, our meeting schedulers, emails, and so on and so forth. And then sounds, the clanging of the bell. We know that when we're in primary school, for instance, when the bell rings for the beginning of the day, we know. When it is closing, there's a way it rings, bah, 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 and then all the students come out making noise and all of that. So that's a form of communication. It means closing time. Short break, the ringing is shorter. Long break, it is longer. And then the longest when we close is also a form of communication. Another channel or medium of nonverbal communication is body language. You nod your head to, to consent. You shake your head to say no. You look in a particular way and the person you're talking to gets the answer. It could even be the way you are dressed. We dress sometimes to communicate certain things. There was a video that I saw sometimes ago of a parliamentarian in one of these East African countries, pardon me, who went for their sitting with her cloth in white, with her cloth stained. And there was a purpose. She was communicating something, but that was non-verbal communication. In a typical university workplace, what are the things we communicate? We communicate who we are as a university, the things that we do. We communicate our expectations, our goals, our vision, our mission, our policies, the university calendar, academic and non-academic activities. We communicate adverts for recruitment. What again do we communicate? Disciplinary issues, observations, complaints, recommendations, challenges, and so on and so forth. And then we communicate why we do what we do. Justifications, clarifications. Maybe an internal or an external public gets in touch with you and says, I want further clarification on this issue. We get back to them and tell them and give them clarification. We also communicate when. When do we do what we have to do? Again, using this event as an example, I'm sure that one of the things presented to the registrar is when this event will take place. We communicate our strategies, our processes, and our tools. And we also communicate the people that will get work done. Let us always remember that communication is about getting work done. And who are the communication stakeholders in the typical university workplace? In our public universities, the governing council, we have them in some of our private universities as the board of regents. They communicate to management and vice versa. Management, faculty, staff, they communicate to students and vice versa. When lecturers go to the class and they teach their students, it's communication. We communicate amongst workers from management and different strata of leadership to faculty and staff of different cadres under them, or vice versa. And then we have communication amongst equals. Parents, guardians, sponsors, they also communicate with us, and we also communicate with them. Again, we have solicited and unsolicited external publics who will just wake up one morning and put up something about your university on social media. We communicate with them because there are times we have to put up disclaimers. There are times we have to situate appropriately what they have written about. And there are some times that we keep quiet. But I think that it is always good for us to tell our own stories. I have a philosophy. I tell my story by myself. Because if you do not tell your story by yourself, the person that you think will tell your story will tell the story to suit themselves and not to suit you. So it is always better for us to tell our stories by ourselves. Now, if any of these parties will generate the expected result, all these parties that I've mentioned as key stakeholders in communication in the university workplace, if they will generate the expected result, then it is essential that they learn the skill of effective communication. If we are all skillful in communicating, will we generate better results? We will achieve our set goals at time more speedily. And so we can move on to the next assignment. And it means that we can achieve more. Quickly, I'll go to effective communication skills required in the 21st century university workplace. And the first thing we'll be looking at, or as way of introduction, I want us to know that the workplace is a place of diversity. As we sit in this hall today, even persons who look slightly alike, they are different. We are all different entities. We are from different backgrounds, socio-cultural, political, religious backgrounds. We are all different in so many ways. And whether we like it or not, who we are translates to the way that we communicate. We cannot take our personality away from our communication style. And so, just like Dr. Olanre Amodu said, if you will let it slide, if you, it's not intentional, it was meant to bring out the best in me, it will help us a lot. As I said earlier on, as our faces differ, so our personality traits, so the way that we communicate. And for the sake of work that has to be done, when our emotions or personality is not intentionally and properly managed, it will impinge on the way we communicate. More often than not, our communication styles are inseparable from our personality types. It will also take some time of training. You can imagine somebody that's already 30 or 40 years old before coming to work has been, acting and talking in a particular way. And then the person came to a world-class university like Covenant University, and we want that person to change in one day. We will, if we're expecting that, then we'll be expecting too much. And that is why it is essential that we understand everybody. He said the other time, he said sometimes our superiors shout at us to get work done. It does not mean they hate us. They just want to get results. And so we should not, because of that, we start moving around, maligning their character and saying, oh, that person is evil, that person is bad. I'm sure that if you have done your work very well too, the person would not have had to take that stance. Do not expect everyone to be like you, and do not hold a grudge against any because your style differs from theirs, as this may serve as an interference in communication. Try to understand each person's style and flow with it. Basically, in the workplace, these are the 4 kinds of communicators that you will see. The direct communicator, and I'm sure that as I begin to explain who they are, I'm sure that you've also read them. You will understand why some persons that you work with, why they talk in particular ways. And I've said, none of them is bad. None of them is good. Or rather, none of them is bad. They all have their strengths. They have their weaknesses. Even the considerate have their own weaknesses because they have the tendency of being laissez-faire. And if they are laissez-faire, it means that your system will not run well. It will run like a madhouse. So we must learn to understand all of these people and have at the back of our mind that the reason why this person is communicating to me is so that work can be done. Now, we have the direct communicator. And I said that you cannot separate our communication style from our personality type. The direct communicators are mostly cholerics. And when they're the kind of persons who are decisive, they're efficient, they're intense, they're result-oriented, they are competitive, and they take risk, a lot of risk. When you are talking to people like that, instead of wanting them to change and become like you, maybe you are a considerate person. What you have to do is, when you are talking to them, be focused on goals and objectives. Keep your relationship, your communication with them business-like. They are not the kind of people you'll be saying Ilenko or Monko. No. What they want is get the job done. And it does not make them wicked people. That is just who they are. Be well organized in your presentations. Ask questions directly and speak at a relatively fast pace. They are also very impatient people. Very, very impatient. Their head work like clock. There are so many things they want to do. So before you go to them, arrange your points one by one. Arrange it very well. As if you are going to the law court and present it. We have the spirited communicators. Most of them are sanguines. And when communicating with them, focus on opinions and inspiring ideas. Be supportive of the ideas. Don't hurry the discussion because they like people around them. They like friendship. Engage in brainstorming. Be entertaining and upbeat. Allow them to share their ideas freely. I think I stand somewhere between the direct and the systematic. And I had this wonderful vice chancellor when I was at Landmark University, who was just a sanguine. God bless Professor Adeniyi Olayanju. We were poles apart when it comes to personality type, but we're able to work together because we understood one another. And then my guy would call me as a registrar. God is always getting ideas. This idea came to me. And then I'll say, hey. And then I'll look for how I can come in and share my own ideas. There was one, he spoke to me about. I wasn't at that meeting because I was not on campus. But where I was, all the members of management sent me a text message that they had an 8-hour long meeting because my vice chancellor was burning in his heart with an idea. And so when I came back, I'd heard about it. I went to his office. I greeted him on Monday morning. And he said, Registrar, why are you with me? This idea came. Immediately I called the meeting. I said, sir, they have called me and told me. And then he talked and talked and talked. And I said, sir, we can add this to it. Let's make use of visuals. That's, a spirited communicator. I said, sir, let us put up billboards. Let's engage the power of sight. So I added my own idea to it. Only God knows how long that meeting would have lasted if I had been around. And then we have the systematic communicators who are mostly melancholic. They also focus on facts and not opinions. When you are going to them, be thorough and organized. Provide data when possible. They are the ones that will say, give me your facts and figures. Supply your supporting evidence. I'm sure that persons who work with me are already smiling because they hear that a lot. And also be precise in your presentation. Then when you go to them, go straight. No gimmicks. Don't be here and there. They get easily triggered when you play gimmicks around them. And then give them time. Don't bring something to them and expect that immediately they will give you results. Give them time to think it through and then get back to you. The considerate communicator is phlegmatic. They focus on relationship. They are supportive of your feelings. They make sure you understand. They make sure you understand their needs when you're talking to them. Be very informal. But the danger, much as these people make the workplace very friendly, the danger of having them is that, like I said earlier on, it can turn the system to a laissez-faire environment. And it becomes a madhouse where everybody will do what they want. The next communication skill we need to learn is information literacy. And what is information literacy? It is the ability to source for correct, current, and relevant information and data, analyze them, and engage them towards attaining your desired goal. I'm glad that some registrars are here and they will understand what we're talking about. You want something from the council, for instance, and then you just present a paper, no supporting document. You want them to build a new house. I mean, a new college building or a new hostel. You are not giving them a document that talks about your current carrying capacity. You're not talking about how you intend to fill up the new building that you're asking them to build. You will write. Because you won't get any results. So you must be able to get tangible information to support your drive, to support whatever you are communicating. There was a time while I was at Landmark University that we wanted something from the Board of Regents. And when it was returned back to us, we were told to provide something, an information. Unfortunately, not because we are irresponsible, but because of the age of our university, we could not provide that thing at that time. And we know that if that thing is not approved, it may upturn the system. And so the Vice Chancellor and I, between us, we said, what do we do? And we agreed, sir, let us get to the source. There is a unit of the university that has that information. And let us gather information from them. And let us add 10 more minutes. Okay. Let us gather information from them and let's use it to support whatever it is we are presenting to the board. And we did that. and what we wanted came back approved. So we must learn that skill in communication to be able to source for correct, current, and relevant information and data, analyze and engage them towards attaining your desired goal. The next thing we must get ourselves acquainted with is digital technology, digital and technology literacy. That issue has been spoken about over and again today. It is no longer news that technology is the driver, the major driver, the primary driver of almost all our activities in the world today. And communication is not left out. And so, if we are going to communicate effectively as a 21st century administrator, you must acquaint yourself with current digital and technology tools for communication. You must cultivate the habit of navigating the digital world so that you can achieve the performance of your day-to-day communication skills. And some of the things you can, you can learn, the engaging of artificial intelligence, generative technology to write. But there is a caution. I always say, do not rely on the information that you get from Copilot or you get from CGP, GPC, ChatGPT, thank you. I use all of them. But you also need a background information. If you don't have requisite information to work with, they'll just give you trash. There was one they gave me one day. I said, no, this is not true. I know. So, but you must be able to engage them for efficiency. There are times you need to quickly make a presentation and then you just ask ChatGPT, Nova. I use Nova and ChatGPT. I use Copilot too. Give me this information and then they bring it up. You must learn how to use schedulers, engage e-invitation, virtual meetings on Zoom, the sending of email. We can perform all activities as university administrators online. You are the ones that will set it up. We set up meetings. So we can put our meetings online. Engaging Zoom, engaging free conference call, engaging Google Meet, and all of that. And then we have our portals, both for faculty, staff, and students. We can even have a platform for parents and other stakeholders. But let us know how to engage technology to push our information out there and to receive information. Take time out to personally teach yourself some things and get a laptop if you don't have one. Experiment on stuffs. Most of the things that I know today, I didn't learn them anywhere. I experiment. Some of my students, while I was in Landmark University, while I was still subdoing student affairs, they would say, Ma, because we're in our parents' generation, and we know that they don't do the things that you do with the computer. I create my flyers. They may not be the best, but I'm trying. I'm better than the person who will never do anything. And I'm getting better on a daily basis. So let us be intentional about grooming ourselves and on the use of technology. The next thing we are looking at is the need for us to prioritize giving feedback. Someone has sent us a mail. Someone has sought for clarification on an issue. Someone has sent a memo. And 4 days after, 5 days after, no response. Feedback is the response that the receiver gives or the action that they take as a result of an information that has been passed on to them. It shows how well the receiver understands the message or otherwise. It is also a means of enlightening a sender who could also be an inquirer, somebody who is making an inquiry. Those of us in private universities, we know our parents will send us messages, and it is a must for us to respond to all of those messages. It is therefore a must to give feedback, and that we must do immediately. I'm glad when the Vice Chancellor, the registrar said, within 24 hours. The reason why we're on that seat is because the persons who put us there, they believe we have the capacity, the extra capacity, either by getting it done by ourselves or asking persons who have equal capacity to do it for us. That is why they have put us there. And if we are not able to deliver accordingly, then we should not be occupying that seat at all. Let me say that it is unprofessional and unethical not to respond or give feedback. Yoruba people will call radio asoro, magbesi. The one that you speak to and does not give you, or rather the one that speaks to you and does not take a response. But that is not correct. Remember that the communication cycle is not complete until you send a feedback or you take or a corresponding action. Please let us make it a way of life. As Registrar Landmark University, I never left a memo on my table when closing. I never left an email unanswered. Ma, I still have a long way to go. I never left an email unanswered. How did I do it? I don't know. But I guess that is what commitment does. Commitment is what keeps you awake and keeps you going, even when you are stretched. And I could remember there was a student that became a student of Landmark University because in the course of discussion, it wasn't as if I meant anything. I was just talking, I went for a training, and then we're talking about something. I said, so when I responded to the student's email, and the man said, you responded to the student's email? I said, yes. To me, it was natural. To him, it was strange. He said, that's the kind of university I want my child to attend. The child is a 400 level mechatronics engineering student of Landmark University as we speak. Let us prioritize giving feedback. The people that we are collaborating with, they want to know. The stakeholders, they want to know. Silence is not an answer. Another skill we need to learn is amiability and friendliness. It was Oprah Winfrey who said, and I quote, great communication begins with connection. Friendliness is going out of your way to make others feel welcome or to make a stranger feel at home. Friendliness is sharing the good times and the bad times together. I'm sure that if you have somebody in your office that you know that you can share good times and bad times together, that you have a connection, you will be able to communicate better with that kind of a person. Friendliness is showing warmth, and it creates the platform for great bonding. Communication is enhanced in a friendly workplace. Where there is no tension, communication will flow easily and the work will progress. And you know, communication is about getting work done. However, where there is no connection, communication will be strained. Be intentional about cultivating cordial relationships in the workplace. You had that example that the registrar gave to us. How she will go to the office and ask her upline and mention the names of the children and ask them. You know, I have someone in my office currently. Every morning when he comes to work, I promised him I was going to talk about this. He will come to my office and say, permit me to say this in Yoruba. Ekpelema. My mom stays with me. And then he'll say, Gramanko. Now, that's not typically me because of the kind of person I am. But because I'm rubbing off on other people, I'm learning to do things like that. And then I will also say, how are you? How was your night? How are the children? Now, in a place like that, this is one person that when I can be very tasking. And when I task him, you know, he drinks water. But then, you know, there is also that part of relationship. Be intentional about cultivating cordial relationships in the workplace. Know your team members beyond the workplace. That was what the registrar said. Genuinely seek the good of your colleagues and be there for them in good and not too good times. Be available, be warm, be approachable, be accessible. Our co-workers, whether our uplines or colleagues or downlines, should be excited about coming to work with us. You know, their hearts should not be beating because they are coming to work with us because they do not know how you're going to communicate with them. Let's always remember that we spend a minimum of 8 hours a day at the workplace. The ambience should therefore be very friendly without losing the seriousness and professionalism that is required at the workplace. Note of caution, friendliness must never be confused with being laissez-faire and allowing unethical and unprofessional acts to thrive in the workplace. The next one is confidence. Studio, can you please give us the video? Sorry, please. Am I communicating? That's the important thing now. Studio, the video. Thank you. The next point we are going to be looking at in effective communication skill is confidence. And that's why I want us to look at this video. What's happening? Okay. Okay, let me continue. They will play the video. Oxford Dictionary defines confidence as a feeling of self. Please keep trying. Feeling of self-assurance arising from an appreciation of one's own ability or qualities. A belief in yourself. And beautiful. No audio, please. Audio. Audio.
Once of the COVID-19, I'm highly disappointed of Nigerian government because the Nigerian government were highly disappointed in them due to foreseen circumstances. Definitely, I'm one of those people approving. People should die in coronavirus is more better than people should die in hunger.
Thank you, studio.
Hunger kills more than coronavirus. Because
thank you so much. What did you observe in this man? Sorry? Sorry? The first time I watched it, I said, how can somebody be saying such nonsense with so much confidence? How can someone be saying so much nonsense with so much confidence? And that is an essential skill in communication. Oxford Dictionary defines confidence as a feeling. By the way, where's Mr. Vincent Olumoyiwa? It was on his status. I saw that for the first time. And I asked him to send it to me. He didn't send it to me. But I looked for it. Oxford Dictionary defines confidence as a feeling of self-assurance arising from an appreciation of one's own ability or qualities. With confidence, you have won before you have started. Marcus Garvey. Be confident about your ability to communicate. You are an administrator. And the only thing that administrators do is communicate and communicate and communicate. The registrar that took me in 2007 to Covenant University, he called me one day and he said, Funke, an administrator communicates and communicates and communicates. And so we must be confident about our ability. If you don't think you have it yet, begin to build that confidence in yourself. If this man, always remember this man. Anytime you are questioning yourself, remember this man. That if that man can talk, and I will also do the same. Nobody was born communicating. Anyone who communicates very well today learns it. Communication gets better with use. The more you communicate, the better you get at it. You will make your mistakes, but you will improve as you go. Be vulnerable enough to make mistakes. So communicate and communicate and communicate. Do not run away from opportunities in form of assignments. They have called you to come and be the secretary of a committee. You said those professors, just like Mr. Ayuburuku said, who will be crossing T's and dotting I's. I don't want anybody to give me a day at all. You run away. Another person will do it. But that other person who does it will make his or her mistakes and learn. And tomorrow you see a shining star and you'll be wondering. In fact, you get to a point you become envious. Is it that person alone? By the time they called you, you said no. To the point that they have left you alone. But this person who has agreed to come is getting better by the day. Don't drop that laudable idea that you have because your online has told you to bring up a proposal. Anyhow, write the proposal. Write. Go ahead. Do it. And for our uplines who are here today, if you have anybody working under you, help your downlines to hone their communication skills by asking them to engage the diverse means of communication in accomplishing their task. Persons who worked with me 2007 to 2011 in the halls of residence in Covenant University, they will attest. Yes, she's already laughing. If they come to me and say, I said, go and put it in writing. But what I was doing at that time was teaching them. They may not like it, though, was teaching them how to hone their writing communication skills. The ability, and then the next one is the ability. I don't think we should take this because I think Dr. Lily really spoke about it. I think she also spoke about engaging the right medium and language. Yes, okay, so. But talking about using the right medium and language, we should also remember that's one of the skills we should learn, the skill of engaging the right medium and language. Before engaging in any form of communication, always ask yourself the question, which of these types of channels of communication will be the most effective in this situation? I have had it in this place being said that you don't call a committee to kill a snake. You want to kill a snake, you are now writing memo. Is it not to tell the person that is next to you, bring a stick, and that person bring a snake? You must be able to determine the channel of communication, the means of communication, the medium of communication that is most suitable at every situation. So you ask yourself, is it an email that is suitable now? Is it face-to-face? Is it a memo? Do I have a telephone conversation? And there are certain things, that influence your choice. What you're discussing, the personality of the person that you're discussing with the hierarchy, the purpose of formalization, all of this should be put into consideration when choosing the types and channels of communication to engage. What language should I use? While English is the official language, will it be appropriate in communicating with the cleaner? They are barely finished from the primary school. Will you be communicating? I can remember there was a training we had for drivers at Landmark University in 2014, and I was told to facilitate. And for me, it was a combination of English and Pidgin and Yoruba. But in the year 2022, one of them came to me and referred to that training and said, this was what I learned. If I had spoken Queen's English to them all through, and then I went the route of this senator from Edo State. Is it from Edo State or Delta State? You know him now. Would they have understood anything? And he was sharing with me how he engaged some of the things I shared with them, in getting his work done. We should be able to choose the right language to use. We should also practice and master the art of active listening. I think Dr. Lily also spoke about that. Listening. Yes. So, and the last one, we should leverage the art of storytelling. I started my presentation today by telling you a story. Story sticks in the heads of people. They don't forget. So when you're communicating, when you're sharing ideas, when you're telling people what to do, engage, leverage the art of storytelling. Share feedback from similar circumstances from the past to drive home your point and give understanding. It could be your personal experience or the experiences of other people. What are the benefits of possessing 21st century communication skills? Number one, if you're skillful in communication, workplace conflict will be reduced. And when workplace conflict is reduced, you have a healthier work environment. And you have a healthier work environment, then it means that your work will go smoothly, faster. You enjoy higher productivity, and people will be more efficient. There will be higher rates of collaboration. And I've read over and again that collaboration is the womb for robust outputs. So it means that if we communicate effectively and we for instance, create a friendly ambience in the workplace, then we can foster more collaborations and we can have more robust outputs. The third one is improved performance, cutting across all platforms of communication. The fourth one is higher productivity, and then we are all able to attain our corporate goals, and we are all healthier and emotionally stable. You know, there is a way communication gets really bad in the workplace. It affects our health. It affects mental health. I know there was someone who shared with me how his heart pounds every day for 1 or 2 years because he worked with a superior that never appreciated what he did. So if we're able to communicate effectively, we're going to have healthy and emotionally stable stakeholders, and everything will run well. Curtain drawer, thank you so much for listening. Being an effective communicator is pivotal to skillfulness, to professionalism, to excellence, to outstandingness, to workplace relationships, and an eventual productivity. It is central to all of our duties as administrators, hence a non-negotiable skill to possess. I would therefore want to encourage each and every one of us to keep learning and improving on our communication skills in order to generate better results. Brian Tracy, a motivational public speaker and self-development author, writes, and I quote, "Communication is a skill that you can learn. It's like riding a bicycle or typing. If you're willing to work at it, and work at it is about doing it over and again, you can rapidly improve the quality of every part of your life." Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Ma. I want to appreciate the registrar and the organizers of this program. Thank you very much. I'm Femi Adebowale from Mafasin University. Two things I want to ask. I want to appreciate our recent facilitator. How do you go about asking your principal to document an order or directive without sounding rude? When a directive is given and you feel it should be documented without sounding rude. Thank you very much. Secondly, I want to ask, talking about feedback, in private universities, one of the things we do, we give opportunities to our students to relate with us. And at times, they become too much. Maybe chatting with you, asking questions, responding. They take liberty for granted, they keep on. And because you have so many things to do, you feel, well, you've given them enough, but they want to keep the communication line open. But we don't have all the time in the world to attend to all of them. How do you handle such? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let me address, can I go ahead and address that? The question, how do you tell your superior to document a directive? Relationship. I will always ask for that. When I was registrar, I will always ask for it. But because over the time, the persons who were my superior, they are persons really that I've been able to build relationship with. Most of the time, the person I do it with is my secretary for the regent. And he says, registrar, go and get this done. I'll say, thank you, sir. I'll be expecting your communication. Sir, because I know that if I go and do it, and I do not have a paper to back me up, I may be paying a debt all the days of my life, and I don't want to do it. I actually had a bad experience when I was subduing student affairs, and I was given a verbal instruction. So it wasn't because I was subduing student affairs. It was because I was head of corporate gifts for a ceremony, and I was given a verbal instruction. I was given a verbal approval to speak with the vendor and bring in goods. And after that has been done, I was told, nobody told you to do that. Yes, it's your word against my word. So over time, when you have a good relationship with your superior, you're able to say, sir, please, I will appreciate if I have an explicit document. And then it got to a point. He knew. Anytime he calls and he says, or he comes around and he says, go and do this. And then I do like this. He'll say, you want a document, we'll get it when I get back home. That's how I was able to manage through. It's a place of relationship. And then you must try to let them know also the importance of having documents for very important decisions such as that. Now, for students, I said the other time that as registrar, I attended to all my meals. But there were some that I did not attend to personally. I pushed to the DSA. And then the DSA possibly pushes to another subunit head. The important thing for me is to get that job done. And follow up below. I'll follow up until the job is done. Because I'm checking from the person I've given the assignment and the person that made me to give them that assignment. I'm following up with all of them to make sure that the job is done. So if it becomes cumbersome for you, I'm sure that there will be one or two other people around you that you can share it with. I know the way students can be, especially when they have something that is burning in their heart and they want to talk to you about. But, well, we have to. There's also something that I used to say way back then when I was in subdean student affairs. I had my intercom all the years I was subdean student affairs, and I was head of residency at Covenant University. 10 years, all of that together. I always had my intercom next to me, even in my bedroom. And why was I doing that? You could get someone calling you. The students, something's wrong with the student somewhere. Something is wrong with it. And then my mobile phone as well. It's actually that one I want to talk about, my mobile phone. When a parent calls you at 1 a.m., that parent cannot sleep. The person cannot sleep. And you are the one that has their child with you. And then you are saying it's out of official hours. And you have signed in local parentis. Parent away from home. It's not grammar. You have to do it. We have to do it. So, when it comes like that, you can push them to other people. No, not push them. Recommend them to other people that can equally get the job done properly. That you know in your heart that this person will do it the way I will do it. Thank you so much. Did I answer the question?